TV. Innovative content, global audience.
Tonight is all about someone who engages in the process of writing. Her passion for history cannot, be overemphasized. Her great passion for history, not just history. We talked about all the time the colonial eras, centuries ago, decades ago. But a lot of people, how well do you know what actually happened? The history, and of course, the depth. And like I said, tonight is about a great book author. She is Enipe Obasogi on the book title Benin Warriors and the British Colonial Rule in Nigeria. Now, this is a great book that talked about, the relationship between the Benin Kingdom and the Europeans during the period of the early contact, at the time when the Benin was colonized by the Britain in 1897. Now, a lot of people, like I said, we all know that we were colonized, the British came into Nigeria, and of course, that is what we know. And we've seen movies before, we see a lot of people talk about it, but how well do you know the in depth, the history? I mean, down. And this is what the context of this great book is all about. Yes, so if you're a book lover, get in here. Is about to get real because I have a great personality with me on the show this evening. You're welcome. My name is Princess Kessy. We're reaching you live from our SRTV studio here in London, and this is Meet the Author. Yes, I have a great woman with me this evening, and I know you're already eager to see her. You're welcome, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Thanks for having me. Thank you
Yes, so
so
nice
much.
to have you with us live this evening, ma'am. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the program. Yeah.
Yes. You're welcome, ma'am. And your book is such, just men looking at the book, we already know what, is exciting to even look at it because, history is something that a lot of people love.
Mm.
And even though people are scared of going there, apparently because of facts, because you have to be dictated, and so people just dive into things that are very easy to write, things that are very easy to achieve. But this is a great book and a great work out there. Thank you, ma'am, for even coming up with something like this in the first place.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for having me. You know,
You're welcome,
uh,
ma'am. So let's go straight to the business of this evening now. What inspired the book in the first place? Because, like I said, this is not something that we see on daily basis. I see book author, I go to book readings and all that, but this is something different. What actually inspired this book, and at what point did you realize that you want to, be a writer?
since I was a teenager, I've been contemplating on writing a book about my own personal experience. However, when I was preparing to write my first book, and because of the Benin history, I started promoting Benin history in 2016. So instead of me to just write a book about only my childhood experience, I said, wouldn't it be nice if I incorporate a kind of Benin history into my own childhood experience? And the second thing that really inspired me to write my first book was because, you see, most of the books that were written about the relationship between the Europeans and Africans, specifically the Benin Kingdom, because I'm from the Benin Kingdom, were written by the Europeans themselves. These are the people that colonized us, and they also wrote books about their relationship with us, and they distorted our history in those books. So I was compelled to write about the relationship between the Europeans and the Benin Kingdom, the colonization of territories in Africa, how the Europeans introduced their system to us, how this system shaped the political and social structures of Benin Kingdom. So at the beginning, I think I was inspired by the rich cultural heritage of the Benin Kingdom.
Wow. I love the fact that you said that people have been telling the story and you decided to tell your own story by yourself. Nothing amazing as you telling your own story rather than others coming to twist it the way they like, and that is the good thing about it. Now, what is the most difficult part of writing these Benin warriors? Because we know that Benin is such a great kingdom, and of course, we know the history to an extent, but we know that coming up with such a book, you must have gone through, a lot of process, stress as well, putting all this together. So, what was the most difficult part of writing this book?
I would say the most difficult part is that I live here in Canada while I was doing research in Benin. I have to call people because I don't want to travel because of some of my commitments here. I don't want to visit Nigeria right now. So I will have to contact people, call people, do interviews through online, sometimes through video callings. So it was really difficult for me. But at the end of the day, it's our history. You understand? And it's very interesting when you interview some elders who witnessed, some of them witnessed, some of them were very young when this incident happened. You understand? So I have to call them, interview them, get some facts about Benin Kingdom. It's very interesting. I won't say it was that difficult for me to write because the history is very interesting. The Benin history is very rich. However, when it comes to the colonialism, I mean the British colonial power in Africa, that is where I get emotional sometimes. You understand? When I got to realize that the British people treated my ancestors, the way they treated our ancestors, especially when they came to Benin, the British punitive expedition of 1897 in Benin, when they massacred our ancestors, killed many Benin warriors, and still thousands of artifacts from the king's palace in Benin. All those things sometimes makes me a little bit emotional when I'm writing my books. This is actually my second book. The first one, I highlighted the relationship between the Europeans and the Benin Kingdom that started in the late 15th century to 1897 when the British invaded Benin, the conquest of Benin by Britain in 1897. So I also documented some activities that transpired between the Europeans and Benin Kingdom during that 400 to 500 years of relationship with the Europeans. So it's such an interesting book. My two books are very interesting.
Wow, well done, man. We love the fact that you are opening our eyes to things in this book, because I know that we just know that we were colonized, there was a relationship and all that. But I think this is where people will get to see the details. I don't even want to believe that the movies we watch are telling us everything because they are, because of the timing. But with this book, I think people will now understand what actually happened, and what history, everything that it entails. And now, what is the significance about the title of this book, Benin Warriors and the British Colonial Rule in Nigeria?
Mm. The title, I will quickly give you an overview of this book. This book depicts the oral and written historical accounts of the military might of Benin and its warriors. When we are talking about warriors, we also mean the warrior kings in the pre-colonial era. The book highlights the British colonial violence in that part of Africa, now known as Nigeria in the 19th and 20th centuries. How the system disrupted the military and geographical arrangements of the old Benin Empire. So the book bridges the long existing gaps in African Benin literature on the significance and role of spirituality in the process of nation building and warfare in the ancient Benin Kingdom. Like what I said in my book, that in most cases we don't write about the role of spirituality in the ancient times. So in this book, I wrote about how the Benin warriors incorporated spirituality through the process of charms and other traditional methods to fight the British. during the British punitive expedition in Benin. It's something that you don't see in many other books. All right. So there are lots that needs to be unraveled in Benin. The Benin history is very broad. When I started researching on Benin history, I decided that I I decided to be researching on the relationship between the Europeans and the Benin Kingdom, because I realized that most of the books that were written by Benin authors were only about the Benin history. you know few of them focus on the relationship between the Europeans, the colonization of the Europeans, and all that. People don't focus on that. They write about other history of Benin. So I decided to focus on only colonialism in Benin. So I think there are a lot of gaps in the system that maybe another author, the younger authors in Benin might focus on. But for now, I'm focusing more on colonialism in Benin.
Now, ma'am, what actually happened in Benin was a genocide. How were you able to report all this, incorporate all this in the book?
What happened in Benin was a genocide. Yes, well, some people said it's a genocide, I guess, because some Benin authors also argue that the massacre of our ancestors is something that was premeditated, that the British people already planned to invade Benin, because there are a lot of things that happened, some incidents that unfolded that led to the punitive expedition in Benin. We cannot discuss everything today anyway. So, the conquest of Benin at that time does not only happen to the Benin people, it happens to many territories in Africa. The British also dethroned Jaja of Okpobo. They dethroned Nana Olumu of the Shekiri land. Jaja was deported to West Indies, while Nana was deported to what is now known as Ghana. So at that time, the Europeans were conquering territories in Africa. It's the same thing that happened to other territories in Africa that was colonized by the Europeans, also happened in Benin. So Benin cannot be singled out from other territories that were colonized by the Europeans during the colonial era.
Now, ma'am, the British museum here, you have like a 2,500 artifacts, and 2,000 of these artifacts are from Benin Kingdom. Now, with what you've written so far, do you think there's any hope in the future of getting these artifacts back to where it belonged, the Benin Kingdom?
Oh, yeah. Recently, we saw a new trend and also a paradigm shift on how the Europeans or Western museums perceived Benin artifacts. And some museums have decided to return these artifacts back to Nigeria. Some artifacts have been returned back. So we are still hoping that the British Museum, the main architect of the Benin or the British punitive expedition, those that looted our artifacts. So we are looking forward for British Museum to follow suit with other museums that have already returned Benin artifacts back to Nigeria. Even the Berlin Museum, the museum there in Berlin, recently decided to return some Benin artifacts back. And these artifacts were acquired from the British, because the British people are the people that looted our artifacts. And after they looted them, they took them to Europe, and those artifacts were disseminated across the globe. So some other museum have decided to return the artifacts, while British Museum is left alone. So we are looking forward for them to follow suit with this recent restitution of Benin artifacts. Yeah.
Wow, that is nice, and that would be nice because we know that the Benin Kingdom has so much that we Africans, we are very proud of. Our viewers, this is Meet the Author. Yes, there are books and there are books. How well do you know your history? Anyway, viewers, don't go anywhere. We'll go on a quick break now. When we return, we'll continue. I'm still here with our guests. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
Hooray! The next President Show is here again. Are you aged between 18 and 30, smart, bold, and possess exceptional leadership skills? Do you have what it takes to be the next youth governor and future youth president? Then register free now at superiorradioandtelevision.com or call the number on the screen. The Next President reality TV show, moving politics out of the polite drawing room into the clamor of the streets. Are you a filmmaker in Abuja and its environ? Do you need a place for your music video, or you need a venue for your conference and even an editing suite for your post-production? Look no further. Our beautiful turret in Lokogoma has it all. We have a whole floor that consists of 3-angle lounge, a beautiful dining area, a large kitchen, a conference area that can comfortably accommodate 60 persons, and 5-bedroom adaptable for all kind of shoots. The good news is all is available at affordable price. And you know what? If you are a member of the Association of Movie Producers of Nigeria, you have 20% discount. So what are you waiting for? Hurry and contact us on the numbers on your screen now.
Hello, viewers, you're welcome back from that quick break. This is me, the author. And of course, like I said, there are books. Books are quite interesting, but when they go down deep into history, they are even more exciting to read. And now, this is a great book we're talking about this evening, The Benin Warriors and the British Colonial Rule in Nigeria. We know that during that time, a lot of things did play down. A lot of things actually happened, some very sensitive, some very saddening that people don't want to go into. And as such, when you even watch the movies, we tend not to understand it very deep. But I think this is a book that will tell you everything that actually played out. Now, Ma, we see that the book is quite big as well. Now, how long was it for you to put this together?
Yeah, it took me about 3 years.
Wow. Yes?
Took me about 3 years. I wanted, because I have the 2 books here. Let me explain what happened. So when I was writing this one, I realized that when I was writing this book, my first book, I realized that it was too big, and some of the stories were not coherent. So I decided to split it into 2 parts. So I published the first one, which is the Great Benin, the Alcazar of post-colonial culture. So this one was published first, the first one. So the second part is what I make up of this book, the second book, Benin Warriors. So my 2 books are both 200 pages each, and they are also available on Amazon.
Okay, let's talk about the book. Take us through the process of the book. Tell us a little, like the summary, the story. You did talk about the relationship, the time of the colonial rule, but what other things do we have in this book?
Yes, good question. Thank you. So my first book, let me quickly give you a synopsis of my first book. The first book critically examines the relationship between the Benin Kingdom and the Europeans during the period of early contact to the time when Benin was colonized by Britain in 1897. It analyzes how the system introduced to Benin by the colonists redefined and shaped the political, economic, social, and cultural structures of Benin and its people. The book also unpacks the intergenerational effects of colonization and gender stratification embedded in the education system introduced to the Benin Kingdom by the Europeans. So, in my first book, I argued that the patriarchal arrangements of the Benin Kingdom predated the advent of the Europeans in the land, because before the Europeans came to Benin, the old Benin Empire was already operating a patriarchal system of government before the arrival of the Europeans. So that was my argument in my first book. Why the second book, I look at the oral and written historical accounts of the military might of the old Benin Empire, in the pre-colonial era, how the British colonial violence in that part of Africa, now known as Nigeria, in the 19th and 20th centuries, disrupted the military and oh, something is echoing. Something is echoing. Okay, I think it's good. So yes, I look at the military might of the old Benin Empire, because there is a research I did in my first book that for more than 1,500 years that the Benin, more than 1,500 years that the Benin Kingdom existed, no country, nobody, no territory in Africa have been able to conquer the Benin people during war or warfare, except of the episode of the British punitive expedition in Benin, because we are not equipped with those sophisticated weapons that the British brought to Africa at that time. That was the reason that the Benin Kingdom was conquered by the Europeans. So, I look at the military might of the Benin Kingdom, the warriors, those that fought wars, tribal wars in Benin, right from the pre-colonial era till when the British invaded Benin. How the Benin warriors fought the British, how they also incorporated spirituality into the logistics of warfare. Where we say logistics of warfare can be anything, using charms. In most cases, they use charms to fight tribal wars. And the same thing they also incorporated to fighting when they were fighting the Europeans, like the British at that time. However, the British conquered Benin because we are not equipped, you understand? We are not equipped with those sophisticated weapons that the British brought to us in Africa. So yeah, that is a brief summary of my two books.
Wow, that's a full package. It's quite. I can't wait to see it myself. And now you have done your research. You have reported on this book. I know you did all your research. Now, how angry are you that our forefathers were termed as uncivilized people? What they went through and all that doing this research. How do you feel about this?
Oh, yes. After my research, I'm still researching. I'm a researcher. I continue to research. But my research so far really enhanced my knowledge about the military minds. I have serious respect for our ancestors. Serious respect for what they did, how creative they were at that time. You see the bronzes, the Benin bronzes. Those bronzes were created by our ancestors. There is a myth in the UK right now that if they remove those Benin artifacts from the British Museum, the museum will collapse. Nobody will visit the museum anymore. That is how prestigious Benin artifacts are in their museums. So why can I give kudos to our ancestors that create such a sophisticated, cultural artifacts in the ancient times? So it is the kingdom that they built that we are so proud of today. when we say we are from the Benin Kingdom, we say it with pride because our ancestors, their legacy, it is their shoulder that I'm sitting here today proudly to say I'm from the ancient Benin Kingdom. So I have serious respect for our ancestors. Yes.
Wow, interesting. Now, let's talk about, what was the most surprising thing you learned while writing this book? Because we're talking about history and it's quite in depth, it's deep, it's emotional as well. What was that thing you say you learned and is still shocking or surprising to you in the course of putting this book together?
Thank you. Good question. I learned something very important. I will quote. Um, During the early contacts of the Europeans to Benin, it was foretold through prophecy in Benin that the Europeans will bring calamity to the land and that it will eventually lead to the death of one of the kings. Through prophecy, it was foretold in Benin. So, because of this prophecy, as a way of trying to suppress this prophecy, one of the kings of Benin called Oba Ohenzai, refused to grant audience to the Europeans in his palace because he was afraid that these people, since it has been foretold in Benin that they will bring calamity to the land and it will lead to the death of one of the kings. He never granted audience to the Europeans in his palace. Instead, he granted the right to one of the chiefs in Benin at that time to receive the Europeans on his behalf. You understand? So, in the 17th century, history also tells us that the Benin people practice what we call feet washing rituals with the Europeans. At that time, the Europeans were mandated to wash their feet in a big basin full of water and some medicinal leaves before they can traverse the city of Benin. Which means once the Europeans arrived in the seaport, Waton seaport in Benin, they must go straight to the palace of one of the chiefs in Benin called Chief Ezomo to practice that feet washing ritual before they can walk around, traverse the city of Benin. So I was really amazed with that. I was amazed with that history. It's so rich. It showed the rich cultural heritage of the Benin Kingdom. So I was really amazed with that story. Thank you.
Wow.
You can
I can't
see,
wait to see this book myself.
you can say that our ancestors saw it coming that these Europeans, they would truly bring trouble, bring calamity to the land. What happened in 1897 when the British invaded Benin? The prophecy came to reality because they invaded Benin, they deposed our king. He was deported to Calabar, where he died in exile. When our king died in 1914, his remains, the British people prohibited the Benin people from taking the remains of the king back to Benin. So the king was buried in Calabar in a foreign land. So
this is quite deep, emotional as well.
So
What can we do now? How can we get this book in question?
yes, I have some copies with me here. Many people have been placing their order directly from me, and we also have it on Amazon. Both books are on Amazon, on Kindle and paperback as well. So they are
Wow.
available on Amazon. Anybody can access it.
And really, I cannot even wait to get the book. I can't wait to see the book. I know this is a book you need to eat. It's where sit down and go page to page. Of course, some of us who love history very well will understand how it is to put this together. It's not easy because anything in history is factual. So you need to go through the process, doing your research and come out with the truth as well. And this is the whole package we have here in one book, The Benin Warriors. And of course, what important advice would you give to a first-time author?
Oh, a first time author, I think the mistake I made in my first book, I don't want anyone to make that mistake. If you are a first-time author, I will advise you to work with any prominent, any successful author so that they will help you out through the process. Although I got some help from people, but at the beginning I did it on my own. You understand? So I will advise any author do some consent, a kind of a orientation session. Look for people who have written books who will put you through, help you edit your book. It's very important because at the beginning you made many mistakes. So yeah, that would make it more easier for you if you work with people with experience who have been in the field, authors, prominent authors who have written some successful books. Yeah, that will help you a lot.
And Oba Varianwe died in 1914, and Nigeria was actually formed in
Yeah,
1914 as
14.
well. What a coincidence! Have
Yes.
you ever done research on that? Is there anything
Yes.
on that? Is there something on it?
Yes. Bini, I even argued in my second book that without the dethronement of some powerful African kings, such as Nana Olumu, Jaja of Okpobo, Oba Uvorame of the Benin Kingdom, the amalgamation of Nigeria in 1914 would have been impossible. I argued in my second book. Why? Because the British realized that without the dethronement, reducing the power of these powerful kings, they would have not been able to create what is now known as Nigeria. Because these powerful kings would have not allowed the British to amalgamate their territories with the larger entity created by Britain. So what they did is to depose these powerful kings before Nigeria as a country was amalgamated in 1914. So I don't know, it was a coincidence that the same year that the Oba of Benin died in Calabar, that the British amalgamated Nigeria. So I have it in my second book. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Interesting. Now, the Great Benin Kingdom, we know that kingdom, the Great Benin Kingdom, for its heritage, culture, and all. And then we see that a lot also have been taken out of Benin Kingdom, but then we still have some left. So, what do we do to preserve this culture and heritage, ma'am?
It's what I'm doing today. Many Edo sons and daughters, we are there promoting the culture to ensure that we follow the legacy of our ancestors. Like what I said earlier, that our ancestors, it is their shoulders that I'm sitting here proudly to promote the Benin history. So we want to make sure that we follow the legacy of our ancestors. That is why I'm writing these books today. That tomorrow, in 100 years from now, the younger generation will explore my books, right? So we want to follow the legacy of our ancestors. We are working very hard. Myself and many other Edo sons and daughters are all working very hard to promote the culture. So I will tell you what I did last year. Last year, August 13th, I declared August 13th as Edo Language Day worldwide. It was historical. This year was actually the first year that we hosted Edo Language Day worldwide in 5 locations. So we are all working very hard. So you can see, even if you even try to research about Benin history online, you see how much we have done. Incredible. Not only me, I won't even give myself credit. If I think I'm doing nothing compared with what other Edo sons and daughters are doing. So we are working hard to preserve the rich cultural heritage of the Benin Kingdom. Like the Edo Language Day is a very good one. We are trying to preserve the language because language is the foundation of culture. Language is the vehicle that we use to drive culture. So if we allow this our rich cultural or this our language to go into extinction, so which means we don't have any language to drive this our rich cultural heritage. So we are working very hard. I still have a lot to do in future. Thank you.
That's amazing. I love that. And let's talk about, you did talk about culture, language as well. And then let's take it down to the youths now, this generation. We know that a lot of my youths, a lot of my generation, they don't like reading. Some we read,
Uh,
but online reading, soft copies. And then how do you intend to inculcate them in this? Because this is a culture, this is heritage, this is history. And I think it's something that the younger ones should be carried along, talking about Benin warriors and the British colonial rule in Nigeria. I want the youths, the younger ones, to be fully involved, to be aware of history, especially what actually transpired. Now, how do we bring them into this?
Depend on how you present the history to the youth. I remember last year when I went to ENAW convention, it's a Edo people, their convention, yearly convention. Could you believe that many youths came to my table to purchase my books? To purchase the books. I even a few days ago I had a session with the youths in the US. They hosted me to present Benin history to them. So it depends on how you present the history to them. So I think Edo youth, they are doing a marvelous job in terms of following the footstep of the older generation. I've seen so many Edo youth purchasing my book even online. So I think the youth are doing very well. They are doing very well.
But my point is, this is
Mm,
history we are talking about,
mm.
and regardless, it's more about the Benin warriors. But I think it's something that every Nigerian youth should read and, of course, should know about.
But
Don't
exactly.
you think that even schools, this should be introduced to schools across Nigeria as well?
Thank you. That's a good question. Yes, yes, that will help to broaden the knowledge of our history. If the school can incorporate it, in Nigeria, tribalism is like a witchcraft in Nigeria. So I think that is also one of the issues affecting the promotion of certain books in Nigeria. When you are from the minority group, it's very difficult for you to strive in a country like Nigeria, in a tribalistic country like Nigeria. So those are some of the barriers anyway. But in terms of the school, I am not in Nigeria. I'm not in Nigeria, but according to some of people that I've approached so far, Nigeria is not an easy country. That country is so complex, and the people are complex as well. So I will come back to Nigeria. I will visit Nigeria. It has been a while though, but I'm looking forward to visit Nigeria soon. I will try to work with school and see what I can do if some school will incorporate these books into their school curriculum. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm expecting, but I won't procrastinate right now. But I'm planning to visit Nigeria soon, so I will try to work with school and see what will happen. Thank you.
That would be amazing. I really want the students, the younger ones, to know what actually happened, talking about the Benin warriors. And then, ma'am, now let's talk about business. You know, writers can no longer earn so much from, their work or their writing. Now, how can we reverse this?
Um, uh, depend on the book. I won't say my books are not successful. My first book was very, very successful.
Okay.
Up till now, people are still purchasing the book online. So this second one, I just published it. I did one small book launch a few days ago, but I'm planning to do the bigger one and next year. So I look forward to see how people are going to patronize the book. But books, I won't tell you that books are not selling. I don't think so. I don't believe that books are not selling. Depend on how you present the book to the public. Depend on the content of the book as well. You understand? So I think books are selling. Books are still selling. So no, people are reading even more than before. People are reading more than before because we are living in a digital world that if you put your book on Amazon Kindle, people would like to read from Kindle directly. People are reading. I won't say no. People are reading.
Well, that's good to know. At
I know
least
that there's a popular theory that if you want to keep a secret from African people,
keep it inside, hide it inside the book. Yes, but I think some of us too actually changing that narrative. Now we know the importance of reading, knowledge, and of course, so we try our best to read. So I know that we keep trying. Anyway, ma'am, finally, let us talk about your project, Edo Language Day. Now, you mentioned that before, so tell us more about it and how can we have indigenes all over the world to partake on that, colorful day. I can imagine that day. It's a though they were talking about the beauty, the colors, the bead, and everything, the crayons as well.
I think I'm so privileged to be in this position that I am today, to be able to initiate a Edo Language Day worldwide. I think I made history. Many people said I made history, So yeah, we successfully hosted the event this year, the first edition, and we are planning against next year. Right now, we have already released our communique for next year. This year, we hosted the event in 5 locations, and we are looking forward to host the event in more locations next year. So yeah, it was successful. Given that it was the first year, it was this successful, which means next year we have a better event than what we did this year. So I look forward to what I would like to commend the work of my committee members. I cannot do it alone. Without this Edo citizens, especially those in diaspora that supported me with my vision about Edo language. Oh, I cannot, if I have to mention their names here, I won't leave here. A lot of Edo citizens supported this project, so we are looking forward to more support for next year as well. So shout out to all my committee members that supported this year. I love you all, and I look forward to you guys, supporting me, continue to support my work and my vision as well. Because in most cases, I'll come with the idea, but I need the people, the public to support me. Only me, I cannot do it alone. So, and people have been supporting, especially the Edo people. Edo people are the best. They are so good. Edo people, the way they supported me with my first book, I've never seen anything like that in my life. I was crying one day, tears of joy was crying. Someone was telling me, like, you're too emotional, you're too emotional. Edo people, they donated, they supported the production of the book. I can't thank them enough, my Edo people. I love you all. Yeah, we are looking forward to next year's event, Edo Language Day Worldwide. Everyone is invited. Friends of Edo, you don't have to be from Edo State to support us. We are looking forward to it big time. The one we did this year was reported by China's TV, AIT, ITV, many other TVs like that, and some bloggers as well. So we want next year, I know that it's going to be much more bigger and better.
I can't wait for that time to come. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being on the show. Viewers have been with a great personality. She has great passion for, history, for writing. Her insightful, insightful thoughts on history cannot, it's just amazing to know that when people tend to move away from history so quickly, we still have some people who are holding back, still trying to take us there, and of course, so that we know how important these things are, and of course, the pains our forefathers went through for us to be here today. And thank you so much, ma'am, for making sure that we still have our culture intact, and of course, that we still have, there's something about feeling it, having the sense around that when you see this great book, Benin Warriors. If you skip this in your maybe library, it reminds you of, okay, that will be a good place to wrap up the show. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you for having me on today's program. Thank you. I appreciate your support.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. And you are also invited to endorse us, to support us for our upcoming Edo Language Day Worldwide. All friends of Edo.
Sure, ma'am. I'll be there. Don't worry. I'll come around. Sure. Canada, right?
Yes, come to Canada. Come to Canada. Everybody is
All right,
invited.
Mom, I'll come.
Okay.
Well, thank you for keeping up with our history. Thank you for making sure that you bring us to this knowledge. Thank you for actually carrying the youth along as well, and thank you for making sure that our heroes past, our forefathers, they didn't labor in vain. You're here again reminding us the things they went through, so we are aware, and of course we know how to carry ourselves as a people, and of course to keep upholding the great Benin, heritage and customs. We appreciate you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you too. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, viewers, I will always say there are books and there are books. Which book are you reading today? You know that saying that if you want to, hide something from an Africa or a Nigeria, you know what, just hide it inside a book, and that's all. They can never get to see that secret. Anyway, do get yourself a book today. I've been on the show with Inkpe Obasege, and she is a great writer. You can see this masterpiece she had put together just to make sure that she keeps upholding our custom and our heritage as well. Get yourself that book today. And of course, not just that book, but every other book. Wisdom and knowledge is power as well. And so make sure you inculcate the habits of reading. I'll see you again on the show next time. Yes. And don't forget, so many packages on SRTV, our magazines, our Slow or 30K, our renters, and of course, we have our travel tour as well. We do event coverage and all that. So just call us and we'll be right there for you. And don't forget our production outlets as well. You know that with minimum, you can just go there and do your shoot. All you have to do is just work in with your crew and boom, you start shooting for, something not very big, but small as well. Anyway, I'll see you again on the show next time. But before then, please get yourself a book. Like I said, knowledge is power. And get yourself this book and know more about our tradition and our history, customs, heritage as well. I'll see you again next time. But follow us on our social media handles. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube, especially. Subscribe, leave us with your comments. We'd love to hear from you. See you next week.
I don't know.
Are you a filmmaker in Abuja and its environ? Do you need a place for your music video, or you need a venue for your conference and even an editing suite for your post-production? Look no further. Our beautiful turret in Lokugoma has it all. We have a whole floor that consists of 3-angle lounge, a beautiful dining area, a large kitchen, a conference area that can comfortably accommodate 60 persons, and 5-bedroom adaptable for all kind of shoots. The good news is all is available at affordable price. And you know what? If you are a member of the Association of Movie Producers of Nigeria, you have 20% discount. So what are you waiting for? Hurry and contact us on the numbers on your screen now.